My wife and I moved out of the city and bought a small acreage a year ago. We've been saving for years to live a life free of HOAs and restrictions. The first week after we moved in, we had a lot of people stop by. One of them was Amanda, who almost immediately appeared distressed. She asked why we had peanuts on our patio. We explained that we put them out for the birds and squirrels. She explained that her tween had a severe allergy to nuts and asked us to please stop. As she explained it, birds and squirrels could drop or hide nuts close to her house, a few roads over. I will admit, I got my back up a bit because we had purposefully moved to a rural area to avoid restrictions, but my wife convinced me it wasn't a big deal and we could switch to seeds. We did just so, and while the birds don't visit as much, I figured it was an okay compromise for the sake of a little boy. So we only see Amanda in passing ever since, but are always cordial with each other. The big issue came 2 weeks ago. I recently started selling things at the local market: eggs, peacock feathers, fruit from our fruit trees, my wife's crafts, and walnuts from the trees on our land. So we've been providing a pretty solid addition to our income. 2 weeks ago, Amanda came pounding on our door. My wife, who's very non-confrontational, answered, and Amanda demanded to see our walnut trees, as she had heard from a neighbor that they were on our land. My wife admitted we had about 10, but made up an excuse, saying she had to leave for an appointment. Before leaving, Amanda exclaimed, "10? Well, obviously they'll need to be cut down. We've already had this discussion." This week, Amanda showed up while I was home with a petition, less than 20 names, demanding we cut down our trees. My rationale was the trees were decades old, and if he hadn't encountered the nuts yet, it would be unlikely he would in the future. She was obviously furious and said, if I had known about them, they wouldn't be decades old. She threatened to bring her petition to the local authorities and call the police for public endangerment. I admit I got angry and was a bit snarky, saying that a mature walnut tree in our area goes for about $500. So if she wanted to offer $5,000, plus the income I plan on making from the nuts every year, plus the cost of an arborist to remove them, I would consider it. She left angrily and yelled that I would hear from the police, which I haven't. My wife is on my side, but thinks I was an idiot because I said no. A few of our neighbors have said that they think Amanda's an idiot, but that I'm also an idiot because the boy could suffer an allergic reaction because of a few trees I'm being pig-headed about. Just hoping others could weigh in. Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. Does she also do this to stores? You can't sell nuts. It's a risk for my son. And tries to hunt down every squirrel because it could come with a nut or nutty breath too close to her son? Creatures of the devil. Those walnut trees were there the whole time that she lived there, and no nut rolled close to her son. But now that she knows about them, the trees are so dangerous. Amanda sounds nuts. It's unrealistic to expect someone several streets away to cut down trees she didn't even know about for years. Is she planning on ridding Earth of all nuts and legumes? At his age, this kid needs to recognize these allergens in nature and avoid them as necessary for his level of allergy. I would post a no trespassing sign and no longer answer calls from this wild woman. The wildlife can stay though. Anyone siding with her is just scared of being on the receiving end of her nutty tirades. Listen, I have a severe nut allergy and grew up on a walnut and hazelnut farm. Unless I want to roll in the nuts, I'm in no danger. I don't pretend to know how bad this kid's allergies are, but forcing the entire neighborhood to go nut-free for her kids sounds super over the top. Besides, peanuts aren't nuts, they're legumes. If her kid is allergic to nuts, she should know the difference. Of course, he could have nut and legume allergies, but you shouldn't have to restrict what is served or grown on your property. Do start documenting all interactions with her. This is going to get worse before it gets better. So, I, 31 female, am currently 4 months pregnant with my fiancé, 32 male. We've been together for 7 years and are planning to get married soon. We've been meaning to for years, but have never seen it as urgent until we found out that I'm pregnant recently. We're both over the moon and excited. However, I haven't been overcome by mommy fever or anything. And now I've been lucky enough not to have experienced any morning sickness, nausea, or extreme symptoms in my pregnancy. However, last week I started getting absolutely killer headaches. I would describe it as if someone had taken an ice pick to my eyeball. I'm someone who usually drinks 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day, for context. I told my husband about these headaches and started to get worried because I thought I'd have the flu or maybe something worse, which could be bad for the baby, but he didn't say anything. After a week or so, the headaches pass, but I've noticed I'm much more tired than I used to be. I also tell him this, and he still doesn't say anything. Well, this morning, I find a pack of decaf coffee empty in the bin, and suddenly it dawns on me what's been happening. I'm the only one of us who drinks coffee, and he's the one who did the shop 2 weeks in a row now. I confront him, and he admits that when he's offered to do the weekly shop recently, he's just been reusing my usual coffee tin and buying the decaf version of the same product because caffeine is bad for pregnancy. He knows I don't have the will to do it on my own. But look, I've quit now and can spend the rest of the pregnancy without it. He said he didn't want to make me feel bad about my vice by confronting me, and that it would be easier to quit if I wasn't doing it intentionally. So he did all 3 of us a massive favor. He points out that I tried to quit caffeine before as a detox a few years ago and only made it 2 days. After that, I lost it and said he was a horrible person. Basically, I started packing my belongings and said that the way he acted was evidence that he not only completely lacked respect for me, but also caused me immense stress, knew it, and still didn't own up to it until I had to confront him. He's refusing to apologize, so I'm staying at a friend's until he does. However, he doesn't think he did anything wrong. He and his friends think I'm being the idiot because he was just doing what's best for his baby's health, that I'm completely overreacting, and my reaction is just pregnancy hormones. I'm really upset and feel like I'm making a massive mistake. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. This is not about coffee. It's about control. He crossed a boundary by determining what you put in your body without your consent. What other aspects of your diet will he feel entitled to tamper with because he's decided he knows best? Can you trust him to enforce your medical directives during labor if something goes wrong? Or will he override you there too? Stay gone until he acknowledges this is a big deal. And if he refuses, start figuring out how you'll co-parent with someone who thinks you don't need to be consulted on decisions that impact you more than him. Would you feel the same if it was cigarettes, alcohol, or drugs? Because caffeine is harmful to their baby. 3 to 4 coffees a day is way too much. It's too much for anyone, really, even if you're not pregnant. Studies show that more than 2 cups of coffee per day can negatively affect your baby. My doctor told my wife to stick to 1 at the most, but he would prefer she quit entirely. I'm sorry, you're not going to get me to agree to a slippery slope on bodily autonomy. If it's dangerous enough to require medical intervention, then you talk to the doctor about how to make that happen. Otherwise, you treat your grown adult partner like an adult, not an incubator. Yeah, not admitting the truth is as good as lying. I'm familiar with caffeine headaches, and forcing you to go cold turkey was probably worse. Quitting any addictive substance involves tapering off of it. He lied, disregarded your health and the baby's health, and made choices for your body without communicating with you first. Trust would be out the window for me at this point, and it would take a lot more than an apology to make me return. I have a tween-years-old daughter with my ex. When she was younger, we had 50-50 custody, but when she started school, we couldn't do that anymore. We live in 2 different cities, so we changed it. We let her choose who she wanted to live with, and she chose me. We decided that she could stay with me most of the time and stay with my ex in the summer and 1 weekend a month. A year ago, she told us that she doesn't want to spend summers with her mom and asked to spend summers with me. It saddened her mom, but she agreed only to have her 1 weekend a month. The issue here is that recently she told me she doesn't want to spend that weekend with her either. The reason is that our families are very different. My family is very well off, and she's the only kid in our family, so she's the center of attention. My siblings love to buy her gifts and spend time with her, and she has a very comfortable life. Her mom's family, however, is full of kids. She has 2 half-siblings and about 15 to 20 cousins, and everyone's too busy with their own kids. Her mom can't take her on summer vacations, and if she does, they usually do activities for toddlers because of her half-siblings, which is why she didn't want to go there in the summer. Also, she complains about her mom always being busy and the food being bad. I told her that I understood, but she's her mom, so she has to make some effort. She can't stop seeing her mom just like this. This weekend, she was supposed to be at her mom's, and I had to force her to go there because she locked herself in the bathroom. I don't think I'm an idiot, but my entire family thinks I'm horrible. Not the idiot. It sounds like your daughter's being a spoiled brat, and the only reason she doesn't want to go is that she's not the center of attention. She only wants to be with you for attention and gifts. Your entire family's wrong. You're doing right by your daughter by having her spend time with her mom. One weekend a month isn't much time at all. I strongly disagree with everyone calling her spoiled. Her mom started a new family and has 2 younger kids. When she goes there, all the activities are catered for her siblings rather than her, and I'm sure they get most of her mom's attention too. Additionally, most of her life is pretty quiet and peaceful, given that she's the only child. Going from that to a summer full of screaming kids is a shock to the system and can be overwhelming. So I don't blame her for not wanting to go. I think you need to have a conversation with your ex. Your daughter probably feels neglected when she goes there, like she's not as important as her mom's new kids. Her mom should find a way to have a special mother-daughter time when her daughter visits. I feel like I was right, but my mom chewed me out over it, and so did my aunt and uncle. My brother got mad at me too after I said it. My brother's divorced. His wife was paralyzed from the waist down because of a car accident, and their marriage didn't survive the aftermath. My brother filed for divorce a month after the accident. I know nothing about my former sister-in-law since the divorce. I know it was a hard situation for everyone involved, and I couldn't imagine. I called him an idiot because he discovered she won the lottery last year. I don't know how much, but he tried to take her to court to ask for spousal support, even though the divorce was 8 years ago. He lost, and he's still salty about the loss. I laughed at him for thinking he should get money from his ex-wife, who he hadn't seen or talked to in 8 years, but he still thinks he should get a piece of the money. And I called him an idiot because he thinks that. He ripped into me, and my mom said calling him names was inappropriate. I only called it as I saw it. So does that make me the idiot in this situation? On the other hand, maybe I was too harsh and should have said something. Not the idiot. Through sickness and in health, right? I can't fathom filing for divorce 4 weeks after a spouse suddenly became paralyzed. This guy is beyond horrible. He left when she had bad luck and thought he deserved some of her good luck. Sounds pretty idiotic to me. Your brother's a pig who wanted to rob his ex-wife's bank. No man files for divorce in 30 days from a life-altering accident or medical condition change with someone he loves. He saw that his life would be impacted and dropped her when she was at her lowest point in her life. He deserves nothing from her and deserves to be called far worse. Moron. Failed gold digger. Recipient of karma. Only calling him an idiot seems tame. But let me guess. Brother's mommy's little favorite? My mom said it was inappropriate to call him names. If your mother's first reaction isn't to burn with shame over the way your brother spoke, to drag him by the ear to the front door and scream to all the neighbors, "Look at this horrible son I raised. Anyone who wants him can have him," and lock him out, then she's also an idiot. Your mom, aunt, and uncle are frankly enablers. My stepdaughter is a tween. I, 30 female, have diabetes and other food allergies that prevent me from eating a wide variety of foods purchased for consumption in this household. The foods, snacks, and drinks that I can usually eat tend to be more expensive, and I have to spend way too much time shopping for bargains to eat. My stepdaughter is fully aware that these are the only things I can eat, and we had no problems up until roughly 6 months ago. I've been in her life for 8 years, so yes, this is a new behavior. So my favorite food and drink are burritos and Diet Sprite. I can't have either of them due to my allergies, and it took me forever to find a brand that I could have. But I don't get them often because both of these products are way too expensive. $19 for an 8-pack burrito and $12 for a 6-pack of the Sprite knockoff. Maybe once every 3 months or so. I caught my stepdaughter eating and drinking both multiple times and had to sit her down and tell her that I didn't want her eating those, as they were expensive and for me specifically, and offered to buy her regular brand of the same items. She said yes, so I went out and bought them for her, to find that she was still eating mine and not touching hers. I asked her why several times, and she shrugged her shoulders and walked off, or said, "I don't see why it's a big deal, it's just food," and rolled her eyes. So I told my husband to do something about it, because he knows my dietary restrictions very well, and knows how important that is, and how much I love these specific items, and can't have them often. So we spoke to her. Everything after that seemed fine. However, I just bought the burritos and knockoff organic Sprite again yesterday. I went to get some around 10 p.m. when my stepdaughter was supposed to be in bed. Unfortunately, the entire liter was gone. I couldn't find it anywhere. So I go into my stepdaughter's room, and she's sitting with not only the Sprite in her lap, but 2 burritos as well. That's when I noticed everything else. My green tea sitting on the floor was gone. The meal containers that I had packed for work under her bed and on her dresser. I thought I was going mental because I couldn't find them anywhere, and it turns out she's been eating them. I've gone many days at work without food because of this. So I told her, I've never been so absolutely disappointed and repulsed that someone could lack that much respect and empathy for another individual, and walked out. I woke my husband. He went down and saw everything, but came up and started screaming at me because apparently I made his kid cry, and now he's worried about her developing anxiety about eating. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot at all. How dare your husband yells at you when you're being left with no food? You bought her snacks and she's still eating yours. Time to get a refrigerator with a padlock on it for the garage. She seems to have targeted your food for whatever reason and will not stop with just talk. While your husband may be worried about her developing anxiety, I think you guys both missed the boat. Something happened. What you're describing is not normal behavior. This is family therapy time. Something is up with the kid hoarding food, especially just your food. No need to put up with it, but it sounds like you'll need a therapist to work with her. This, grabbing the wrong soda repeatedly, is willful obstinance. Taking on the food that the OP can eat, leaving her with very little else, is disturbing. No, it's not going to kill OP to go without a diet soda or a frozen burrito, but that's not the point. She literally cannot have everyday foods to maintain her health, and she's going through the trouble of making herself meals to sustain her blood sugar levels, but her stepdaughter's stealing that food? Something is going on with this child. I hope these issues can be resolved.